Let them in.
I did.
There we go.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
Matthews, good morning.
Matthew. Jesus.
Morning. Morning.
Morning. Thank you for being
Morning.
on time. Sorry we ran a little bit over in our meeting.
There's Jesus. Good morning, Jesus. Let them in.
Morning, Mr. Cruz.
Uh,
Morning, Miss Morris. Morning, Miss Williams.
Good morning, guys. I'm not feeling well today, so you're gonna notice
I'm
in my voice
sorry.
that I don't have my
Okay.
camera on. My son got a cold and gave it to me.
Oh my God.
You can hear it in my voice, right?
yeah.
I know you chewed him out about that.
Man, I'm so mad at him. It's not even funny.
Oh my God. Let me not laugh.
You don't listen. I'm sick.
I'm sorry, Miss Morris. You need to drink some tea, some hot
That's
tea.
what I was just telling Miss Williams. I gotta go make my ginger tea.
Word. Well, ugh. Why you want to do the ginger? You see, no. You see,
That's good for you.
It helps.
yeah, I know, but it was
Ginger,
all
lemon
good.
and
You
ginger.
said ginger, and I was like, ugh.
Lemon and ginger, good for you. I'm gonna drink some in a minute.
All
Okay.
right.
So I got your email. I did email you back, Jesus. I don't know if you saw it.
It was late. I'm
I
sorry.
tried
I
to clarify.
apologize.
It's okay, but I did respond. So because I realized that a lot of you have difficulty or had difficulty with that story, that is why I wanted to read it, discuss it, and have you go off and answer the question. But nobody wanted to respond, so I'll let you do it on your own. So we're gonna go back to that story because there's some key skills that I need you to start to develop from that story. Okay, I just won't be doing too much talking. Miss Williams and Mr. Cruz are going to be jumping in a few times.
All
Um,
right.
One more thing before we start, there is a group called Community Word Project that we've been working with for years as a school. They are teaching artists that usually come in and bring the arts into classes, such as
Right.
poetry, music, things of that nature. They're going to be joining us starting tomorrow, and they'll be here mostly Tuesdays and Thursdays and a couple of Wednesdays, where
All right.
depending on how the class goes, you're either A, going to be starting to produce something with them. In the past, they used to produce a poetry anthology, or it'll be something where you're going to notice that some of the assignments that we give you will overlap with the arts. Okay. So we're
All right.
still doing conflict as our unit, but you might notice that some of the things you have to produce involve maybe a poem, a song, something artistic that's added to what we need to do to finish this unit. So don't be alarmed and be like, who are these people? They'll be with us tomorrow, but I just wanted to give everybody the heads up, okay?
All right.
All right. Let me share my screen. All righty. So I'm not going to read the story because I don't have the voice for it, but I just want to explain what it is we're supposed to do.
Did you want me to read it, Miss Mars?
Okay, but before we read it, can we look at the question?
Yes.
You mind reading the question so that I can break down what it means?
Okay. In the story, Lather and Nothing Else, the barber experiences the inner struggle of wanting to kill Captain Torres. What was the cause of this conflict? And what does the main character not want to give up if he decides to kill the captain? Explain your answer in a minimum of 5 sentences. Be sure to include evidence from the text to support your answer.
Thank you, Miss Williams. So it's a two-part question, okay? Basically, first, you have to explain what caused the conflict. We all know it's inner conflict. We don't have to guess that part. He's struggling with the temptation to kill Captain Torres, and it's a barber. I remember when I asked folks last week, where was the story taking place? People were telling me the kitchen. Some people said the bathroom. It's in a barber shop. All right. And the barber has an issue with this particular client. You have to read that to find out what is his issue with the client. Why would he even consider killing a client? Once you figure out what is the main cause, that's what's the first thing you want to make sure you state. the main conflict or the cause of this conflict is. Once you've explained what that cause is, you now need to tell me what is it that he doesn't want, what is the consequence he doesn't want to bear, which is why in turn he struggles with killing someone. Because for the most part, guys, if you kill someone, what's going to happen to you?
You're gonna go to jail.
Okay, right? Some people, it's a religious thing. You don't want to sin. You don't want to end up, in the Christianity religion, you go to hell if you kill somebody. For some, it's a legal thing. For some, it's both. For some, it's a case of what's going to happen to me in terms of repercussions. Because some people, if you kill my people, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in some cases if you kill my people? What people do?
They retaliate.
Exactly. So there's many reasons why someone might struggle with trying to kill someone or wanting to kill someone. That's background knowledge right there. We all know that usually when you're in a position where you're going to do something that might be very bad, people have a reason why they end up not doing it, even if they wanted to. So that part of the question is saying, what is it that he doesn't want to give up? What is it that he's struggling with? It's an additional struggle as to why he doesn't want to kill Captain. So that's the answer I need you to answer, because again, our unit is about conflict and its implications. Implications mean, what are the side effects? What are the consequences? What happens because of conflict? Sometimes it's a good consequence, sometimes it's a bad consequence. But what happens because of a conflict? That's the type of thinking I want you guys to start to use when you approach the reading now. We're done with just identifying conflict. We already know that now. But why that conflict? Why is that conflict important? Why would the author choose to use this type of conflict? Where is this conflict coming from? What makes this conflict the most appropriate type of conflict? Like, those are the types of questions I need you to start asking. Those are what you call an analyzing type of questions, okay? As high school students, you have to start using higher order thinking skills. Just identifying a conflict is what you consider entry level, right? That's surface level. That's easy. Anybody could point out the type of conflict. We're past that. So our conversation should reflect that we're starting to think deeper about what we read, so that when you write your own stories or you respond to a story, your conversations are a little bit more sophisticated. You understand, guys?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So again, what I would do as a writer or as a reader, I want to make sure I highlight or I make sure I pinpoint the two parts of the question that are the most important to me. I need to know what caused the conflict, and I need to know why does this character not want to give up. And remember, it doesn't have to be something physical. We just discussed that. It could be his freedom. It could be the repercussion of retaliation. It could be the shame or the disgrace that comes with knowing that he killed somebody. It could be a religious issue. He doesn't want to, taint his soul. He doesn't want to get locked up. What is it that he doesn't want to give up? So when I ask you questions like these, it's not just about a physical thing. It could be something that's societal, something that's symbolic. But this is the direction I want us to start going when we're thinking about our reading. So that's the question. So Ms. Williams is going to be nice enough and gracious enough to have us read the story, so that this time around, maybe you take notes. Maybe you pull up your own story, which is in the assignment from Friday, and highlight your version of this so that you can use it for your reading, for your assignment. That's what good readers and writers do. You don't have to wait for us to tell you that. You pull up your Google Classroom, you pull up the same story, and you read along with Miss Williams, and as she's reading, you can start highlighting things that you can use to help you answer your story. Are you understanding that, guys?
Yeah, Miss Morris, I got a question. How do we turn this in? Because it's a Jamboard. It doesn't have like a turn in button. It just has a shade.
So you weren't here last week. So when we did Jamboard last week, what you do is you have to go to your assignment and add this because it's now your copy of an assignment in your Google Drive. So when you go to your work, I think it's called, is that what it's called? You're going to add, you go to Google Drive and you look for this Jamboard and you add it and turn it in.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay. And lastly, the kids had to take an additional step. They had to actually make a copy first and then do it because we were working as a group.
Right.
But this one, you have your own copy. So you just need to find it in your Google Drive, add it and turn it in.
All right.
You feel them? So I need to make this bigger. This is fine.
No. I'm reading my own copy.
Okay, perfect.
All right, here we go. Lather and nothing else. He came in without a word. I was stropping my best razor, and when I recognized him, I started to shake. But he did not notice. To cover my nervousness, I went on honing the razor. I tried the edge with the tip of my thumb and took another look at it against the light. Meanwhile, he was taking off his cartridge-studded belt with the pistol holder suspended from it. He put it on a hook in the wardrobe and hung his cap above it. Then he turned full around towards me and loosening his tie, remarked, "It's hot as the devil. I want to shave." With that, he took a seat. I estimated he had a 4 days growth of beard. The 4 days he had been gone on the last foray after our men. His face looked burnt, tanned by the sun. I started to work carefully on the shaving soap. I scraped some slices from the cake, dropped them into the mug, then added a little lukewarm water and stirred with the brush. The lather soon began to rise. "The fellas in the troop must have just about as much beard as I went on, stirring up lather. "But we did very well, you know. We caught the leaders. Some of them we brought back dead, others still alive. But they'll all be dead soon." "How many did you take?" I asked. 14. We had to go in pretty far to find them. But now they're paying for it. And not one will escape. Not a single one." He leaned back in the chair when he saw the brush in my hand, full of lather. I had not yet put the sheet on him. I was certainly flustered. Taking a sheet from the drawer, I tied it around my customer's neck. He went on talking. He evidently took it for granted that I was on the side of the existing regime. "The people must have gotten a scare with what happened the other day," he said. "Yes," I replied, as I finished tying the knot against his nape, which smelled of sweat. "Good show, wasn't it?" "Very good," I answered, turning my attention now to the brush. The man closed his eyes wearily and awaited the cool caress of the lather. I had never seen him so close before. The day he ordered the people to file through the schoolyard to look upon the 4 rebels hanging there, my path had crossed his briefly, but the sight of those mutilated bodies kept me from paying attention to the face of the man who had been directing it all, and whom I now had in my hands. It was not a disagreeable face, certainly, and the beard, which aged him a bit, was not unbecoming. His name was Torres, Captain Torres. I started to lay on the first coat of lather. He kept his eyes closed. "I would love to catch a nap," he said, "but there's a lot to be done this evening." I lifted the brush and asked, with pretend indifference, "A firing party?" "Something of the sort," he replied, "but slower." All of them? No, just a few. I went on lathering his face. My hands began to tremble again. The man could not be aware of this, which was luckily for me. But I wished he had not come in. Probably many of our men had seen him enter the shop. And with the enemy in my house, I felt a certain responsibility. I would have to shave his beard, just like any other, carefully, neatly, just as though he were a good customer, taking heed that not a single pore should emit a drop of blood, seeing to it that the blade did not slip in the small whorls, taking care that the skin was left clean, soft, shining, so that when I passed the back of my hand over it, not a single hair should be felt. Yes, I was secretly a revolutionary, but at the same time, I was a conscientious barber, proud of the way I did my job. And that 4-day beard presented a challenge. I took up the razor, opened the handle wide, releasing the blade, and started to work. Downward from one sideburn, the blade responded to perfection. The hair was tough and hard, but not very long, but thick. Little by little, the skin began to show through. The razor gave its usual sound as it gathered up layers of soap mixed with bits of hair. I paused to wipe it clean, and taking up the strop once more, went about improving its edge, for I'm a painstaking barber. The man who had kept his eyes closed now opened them and put a hand out from under the sheet, felt the part of his face that was emerging from the lather, and said to me, "Come at 6 o'clock this evening to the school." "Will it be like the other day?" I asked, stiff with horror. "It may be even better," he replied. "What are you planning to do?" "I'm not sure yet, but we'll have a good time." Once more, he leaned back and shut his eyes. I came closer, the razor on high. "Are you going to punish all of them?" I timidly ventured. "Yes, all of them." The lather was drying on his face. I must hurry. Through the mirror, I took a look at the street. It appeared about as usual. There was the grocery shop with 2 or 3 customers. Then I glanced at the clock. 2:30. The razor kept descending, now from the other sideburn downward. It was a blue beard, a thick one. He should let it grow, like some poets or some priests. It would suit him well. Many people would not recognize him. And that would be a good thing for him, I thought, as I went gently over all the throat line. At this point, you really had to handle your blades skillfully, because the hair, while scantier, tended to fall into small whorls. It was a curly beard. The pores might open minutely in this area and let out a tiny drop of blood. A good barber like myself stakes his reputation and not permitting that to happen to any of his customers. And indeed, this was a special customer. How many of ours had he sent to their death? How many had he mutilated? It was best not to think about it. Torres did not know I was his enemy. Neither he nor the others knew it. It was a secret shared by very few. But just because that made it possible for me to inform the revolutionaries about Torres's activities in the town and what he planned to do every time he went on one of his raids to hunt down rebels. So it was going to be very difficult to explain how it was that I had him in my hands and then let him go in peace, alive, clean shaven. His beard had now almost entirely disappeared. He looked younger, several years younger than when he had come in. I suppose that always happens to men who enter and leave barbershops. Under the strokes of my razor, Torres was rejuvenated. Yes, because I'm a good barber, the best in this town. And I say this in all modesty. A little more lather here under the chin, on the Adam's apple, right near the great vein. How hot it is! Torres must be sweating just as I am. But he is not afraid. He is a tranquil man who is not even giving thought to what he will do to his prisoners this evening. I, on the other hand, polishing his skin with this razor, but avoiding the drawing of blood, careful with every stroke, I cannot keep my thoughts in order. Confound the hour he entered my shop. I'm a revolutionary, but not a murderer. It would be so easy to kill him. He deserves it. Or does he? No. No one deserves the sacrifice others make in becoming assassins. What is to be gained by it? Nothing. Others, and still others, keep coming. And the first kill the second, and then these kill the next, and so on until everything becomes a sea of blood. I could cut his throat. So swish, swish. He would not even have time to moan. And with his eyes shut, he would not even see the shine of the razor or the gleam in my eye. But I'm shaking like a regular murderer. From his throat, a stream of blood would flow on the sheet, over the chair, down on my hands, onto the floor. I would have to close the door, but the blood would go flowing along the floor, warm, indelible, not to be staunched until it reached the street like a small scarlet river. I'm sure that with a good, strong blow, a deep cut, he would feel no pain. He would not suffer at all. And then what would I do with the body? Where would I hide it? I would have to flee, leave all this behind, take shelter, far away, very far away. But they would follow until they caught up with me. The murderer of Captain Torres. He slit his throat while he was shaving him. What a cowardly thing to do. And others would say, the avenger of our people, a name to remember, my name here. He was the town barber. No one knew he was fighting for our cause. And so, which will it be? Murderer or hero? My fate hangs on the edge of this razor blade. I can turn my wrist slightly, put a bit more pressure on the blade, let it sink in. The skin will yield like silk, like rubber, like the strop. There's nothing more tender than a man's skin, and the blood is always there, ready to burst forth. A razor like this cannot fail. It's the best one I have. But I don't want to be a murderer. No, sir. You came in to be shaved, and I do my work honorably. I don't want to stain my hands with blood, just with lather and nothing else. You are an executioner. I am only a barber. Each one to his job. That's it. each one to his job. The chin was now clean, polished, soft. The man got up and looked at himself in the glass. He ran his hand over the skin and felt its freshness, its newness. Thanks, he said. He walked to the wardrobe for his belt, his pistol, and his cap. I must have been very pale, and I felt my shirt soaked with sweat. Torres finished adjusting his belt buckle, straightened his gun in his holster, and smoothing his hair mechanically, put on his cap. From his trousers pocket, he took some coins to pay for the shave. And he started towards the door. On the threshold, he stopped for a moment. Turning towards me, he said, "They told me you would kill me. I came to find out if it was true. But it's not easy to kill. I know what I'm talking about."
Bravo, Miss Williams. Bravo.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a beautiful reading.
Yeah, you see the twist at the end? Captain Torres knew all along
Right.
that he probably would kill him, that he was his enemy, even though the barber thought he didn't know.
Right.
So we already know that if he did go ahead and try to kill Captain Torres, people were probably there waiting already, expecting him to do so, right? It's kind of like a setup. So based on that story, guys, and I hope you guys are listening. Miss Williams took a time out to read it to you guys. It's a lengthy story, but I think it's a story that allows you to be able to really think about how complex inner struggle is, or inner conflict. And based on that struggle, based on the cause, what do you guys think? What do you think caused this inner struggle with the barber? And this is where Matthew and Jesus say something.
And Iralise.
Oh, Iralise is here.
And Fatu.
Morning, guys.
Can you say that one more time, Mr. Morris?
What caused the struggle?
The cause of struggle is that. Wait, do you want to type it in or you want to tell you?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think what causes the struggle is, hold on, let me pull it up. What causes struggle is that he has beef with the captain in the chair, and he doesn't know that the captain knows. So he's doing all this stuff, and he's like in his head, and the captain is in his head, and he's just sitting there. He's just analyzing the whole situation, and then at the end they kind of find out like where they stand.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop you right there, Jesus. What you just did was summarize the struggle, right?
All right.
You told us what the struggle is, but the question is what caused it. So you're answering a different question. And I'm glad that you're trying, so don't feel like, oh my goodness, I'm here sharing out and she's shutting me down.
Right.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to guide you into trying to really think about what you're saying.
Miss Morris.
Says what caused the conflict? What led to the barber wanting to, try to kill this man in the first place? So you got to think about the background information. You got to think about the relationship, or how the barber knows about Captain Torres. You understand? Prior to him now seeing Captain Torres in the barber shop and wanting to kill him. So that's what I need you to take a second and think about in order to be able to answer the question about the cause. Okay? Yes, Mr. Cruz?
I think that he knows the answer, but he just called it beef. If you would explain what the beef is, what caused it?
Animosity between the two characters.
Exactly. Now, thank you, Mr. Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, on the test, I can't say what's beef.
Exactly.
So that's why you have to really think about the vocabulary we're using. But yes, Mr. Cruz, that's exactly what it is. Think about one. When someone says, what is the cause of conflict? Some people say the root cause. Where is it coming from? You have to understand what that means, okay?
Okay.
It's not always going to be beef that causes conflict, right?
So those are words you can't use on the test.
Right, but definitely in context, it is a former beef that he has, and a problem that he has with how Captain Torres has treated people he knows.
Well, is it that he stole his girlfriend? Is that the source of the beef? No, right? Something else. No, not at all.
He says,
Nothing to do with girls.
Because Jesus, I might have understood when you said beef, but you can't always assume that the person going to read your paper, grade it, is going to understand it.
Right.
You have to be specific because you saw how Miss Williams just threw in a trick point. She said, was it because he stole his girlfriend? And you were like, part of it. That wasn't in there at all. That wasn't there. That was a trick point. You have to be able to be specific with what the beef was, right?
Right.
So, and this is for everyone. I think somebody was talking. Was it Ajay Fatu or Early? Somebody was trying to add something.
I said like Mr. Torres killed his people, the people that he
Exactly.
knows.
Right. So the cause of this inner struggle is the fact that Mr. Torres has killed people he cares about. And now that he's sitting in his chair, he wants to, exact revenge on him, right? So that's what you would put for your first part of your question. What was the cause of the conflict? So then comes the second part of the conflict, or the second part of the question. What does the barber not want to give up? Hence, he doesn't kill this guy. What is it? Is it his freedom? Is it his reputation? Is it the fact that he's worried that people might retaliate? Like, what is the struggle he's going through why he doesn't end up killing Captain Torres? Is he afraid? What is it? And that can be found in the story. Can somebody give me one? And there's many reasons. But can somebody give me one reason why he does not? Or one thing he does not want to give up? Why he decides not to kill Captain Torres? Can somebody tell me that?
His freedom. He doesn't want to be labeled as a murderer.
Pretty much. And there was a word that Miss Williams used where he described himself as a conscientious barber. Conscientious means that you use your conscience, right? You think about what's right, what's morally right. So the barber is struggling with his morals. He doesn't think it's right to kill people. And he even said, listen, that's not my job. That guy's an assassin. That's what he does. He kills people. I don't. Are you understanding? So what I need from you guys now is when you go back to your Jamboard question, you need to answer the question in its entirety. I need you to tell me first what the cause of the conflict. Don't tell me what the conflict is. We already know what it is. I don't want to hear that, oh, he wanted to kill the barber. No. What caused it? Aji already told you guys. Jesus told you guys. Then what did he not want to give up? Was it his freedom? Was it his morals that he didn't want to compromise? Was it his reputation that he didn't want to spoil? I need you to be specific what it is that he did not want to sacrifice once he killed Captain Torres. And remember, we talked about this earlier. Sometimes when somebody says what somebody wants to give up is not necessarily something physical. It doesn't have to be a thing. If you notice, all the examples we're giving has nothing to do with a physical thing. It's not a shirt. It's not a gun. It's not a book. It's what we consider abstract things. Reputation. You can't hold a reputation, but we know it's there, right? Am I right?
Yes.
So that's what I need you to do.
That's facts. That's facts.
So I need you to answer this question now. And I need you to find, again, quotes from the text. So when you mention the cause, after you say what it is, find the quote, put it in there. As seen in, as stated here, put the quote. Then when you say what he didn't want to give up, as shown here, as evidenced here, and put it in. And you'll have your five sentences. But can we do that now, please?
All right, guys.
And for those
I have a question. I cannot write normal. I have to write in the little paper with color.
The Post-its.
right in the text box.
Yeah.
You won't let me, or it's just hard for you to do. What do you say?
You can write in the Post-its, but you don't have to.
No, earlier if I gave you a text box, when you click on the bottom of the page, don't you see this like box come up?
No, but let me check.
Yeah, the text box when you click on it. Because I deliberately created one so that when you guys click on it, you should be able to type in there. That way you'll have more space.
You on your computer, Annalise?
Do you want to share your screen, Elise?
Yeah, I can write already. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I found it.
Remember, you're gonna have to add this to your assignment and send it in. It's not gonna be there as an attachment. You have to.
Make a copy.
You don't
Okay.
even have to make a copy for this one because they already have a copy. When you go to your work, you're gonna have to go to your Google Drive and your Google Doc and add this, okay, in order to turn it in.
Okay.